Okay, we're going to get started. Can you hear me? Good morning. Good morning.
Yes.
All right. Good morning. I am actually under the weather today, so my voice is a little raspy. I apologize, but welcome. I'm going to try and get through this without coughing too much. I have a little germy 4-year-old who gave me her germies. Oh no. Yeah, it's been like ongoing. I had the same thing last month too. So, oh, there you go. So you understand. So, yeah, I'm going to try and get through this without coughing too much, but let's see how much I could go without going on break here. Let's go forward. Welcome to week 2, session 2. Hopefully you were able to listen to the first lecture for week 2. Don't forget there's a required lecture that you need to watch before this one. Obviously, if you haven't gotten to it yet, get to it as soon as possible so you can get started with all of your important information this week. You guys will be doing some interesting stuff, more of a research this week, and for your assessment, you guys have a quiz. So that's why it's super important to listen to those recordings and also your required readings and all that extra resources given to you guys. So how's everything going? Any questions from week 1? If you submitted your work recently and I haven't gotten to it yet, I will be getting to late submissions soon. So be patient with me. There you go. Yeah, if you got it done early, awesome job. I had a lot of you guys you guys did a great job with discussions in week 1. I do have to say, and then also your type portraits were really, really done well. A lot of you guys did a great job with that as well. Had some issues with the assessment week 1, so just make sure you're watching the demos, because I think looking at the demos really do help clarify a lot of steps, especially with creating your paragraph styles. Yeah, so make sure you're reviewing that for future revisions. Well, good. All right, so this is kind of what's on the agenda today. Week 1 review, grading and feedback, typeface portrait gallery walk. We'll take a look at, I have 2 sections of this class, so we'll take a look at some of the ones that I pulled just so you guys can see what other people have done for that. It's always nice to see what your peers are working on, what they've done and what they submitted. And then we'll do a week 2 overview, discussion 2 overview, as well as your assignment 2 and assessment 2 overview. So I have a lot to get to today. Let's go ahead and get to your resources here. Just a couple things to just train your type eye. A couple resources to take a look at. We have the Type Tuesday at Eye on Design, AIGA. It's a great resource. So let me open that up for you guys. Eye on Design, it's a link here, and I'll share this in announcements too, so you guys can easily get a hold of this information. Are we doing paragraph styles with the assignment? Yes. So for the assignment, I would like to see you guys, continue on with that, and I'll go over that in the demo again. So if you had any issues with that, I can do a little overview. Good question. So AIGA, that's okay. No, that's a great question. AIGA, Eye on Design. If you go to the top left-hand corner, obviously there's different sections. So you have a design section here. You have a design plus section, design series, and community. And I just clicked on typography because obviously that's what we're dealing with in this class. So there's some really, really interesting just articles here in regards to typography. Some of it, goes through eras of typography. Just some interesting articles to read that typography is related to. that you might want to just kind of take a look at. You don't have to obviously read all of this, but if something strikes your eye and you want to kind of read it, that's great. It's always good to be inspired by some things that you see. I know whenever I was going through typography class for my graduate classes, we had to read articles every week, and I'm sorry, sections in a book that was required. So we really gained a lot of extra supplemental resources in that regards, and just some history of typography. But if you click on each of these, you can kind of read each article here. Just some really cool information that you might not have been privy to. Obviously there's some other interesting information in here, so videos and all that. So some cool stuff. Another thing to take a look at here, so I'll share that in announcements after the lecture, this link here, is talks on type at Adobe. And again, I'll post this on announcements too, so you guys can bookmark it if you want. And this basically is what it is. It is what it is, right? It's live stream show here. Talks about typography and design. So if this is something that you might want to check into, go ahead and put it on your calendar. Here's the first one coming out here. Well, not the first one, but here's the next one, Wednesday, June 17th. An award-winning Lebanese type designer working on the Arabic and legibility specialist at Monotype. We'll be talking at this time here, so you can click to live stream it. And then it just goes on with other live stream talks that are coming up as well. So if you're interested in listening to that, sometimes it's nice to put that on when you're working, so that you have some inspiration there. So there's also blogs that you can follow. If you have any favorite blogs, that's something that you can share with us too. And then also on Pinterest, you can follow Pinterest and Behance. Actually, Behance, you can follow typographers on Behance. Kind of some really cool hand typographers there who do hand-drawn typography. Here's some blogs to take a look at. So typography blogs and magazines. I Love Typography is one of them. Yeah. Typographica is another website you can check out. Typograph blogs, Typophile blogs, sorry. Ministry of Type. So this is just a list of 28 great typography blogs and websites here. I'll give you this link in here. I know people who are watching cannot get the link because the chat is not in the recording, but I will post that into announcements as well. So this is just more resources for you guys to take a look at. There's so many really interesting things. I think this is the one I really referred to a lot whenever I was going through school. I love typography. Excuse me. So let's say you're looking at, you want to kind of look up something about a specific font or font history. This is all the articles listed here. You could get the full archive. That you might get supplemental resources, say for the discussion. For instance, you can pull up articles there too. There's font news, typographic first, making fonts. I know for my graduate studies, we made fonts, which was kind of an interesting and very, very challenging, actually. You wouldn't think that there's so many details involved, but yeah, there's also type history here. And I know you guys are reading a little bit about the history, so you can definitely check out some really cool history information here. Different articles relating to that. All right, so that's some really cool, interesting resources that you guys can tap into. As an online student, I always like to say it's self-guided for the most part. That's why it's a little challenging for some people to be online students, because you have to be responsible, but you make it what it is too. So you can gain a lot out of each class if you're open to, you know, kind of exploring these extra resources and substantial resources given to you, you know, other than what's given to you in Canvas. So, oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. Excuse me for coughing. Yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to share resource-wise, you know, why not post it in the discussion board? I am definitely human. Yes. So, all right. So week one grades and review. Late submissions, don't forget, you know, get those in as soon as possible for at least some credits. I know life happens. You know, I'm sick today too, and deadlines happen, but I've had some of you guys reach out to me, which is great. If you are late, reach out to me. I could be more flexible with you if that's the case. I know life happens. You guys only have 4 weeks each class too, so you know, and you go from one mod to the next, so it's challenging. And I understand. I am human, like Christina just mentioned. So I've been there, done that. So reach out to me if you have any issues. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the classroom here first, as we always do every week, just to look over our learning objectives for week 2. Let me know if you have any questions. A lot of stuff going on this week. So we're going to be talking about choosing fonts this week. You're going to visually analyze and identify 4 font features that work best for web versus print. Identify and select an appropriate font for a specific purpose. Classify 8 kinds of typography categories. Define the difference between type categories, type families, and type styles. Identify the anatomy of the letter form in standard type terminology. Compare the quality and usability of free novelty fonts versus classic paid fonts. Combine 2 typefaces to achieve contrast and create hierarchy in text. And then evaluate how size, leading, tracking affects the readability of text. So now that we're going to kind of, in week 1, we're talking about the basic terminology and anatomy of type. And also you have gotten to know some of the well-known type families in the design world a little bit more intimately. What we're going to be doing this week is we're going to be doing more typeface exploration and learn about picking the right font for the job. You will have a midterm quiz for assessment 2, and it will be, as stated here, as a great refresher before we move into the more complex phases of typography. There's a short video here explaining some of the impacts of typography. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. We'll go forward.
Hi, I'm Jen. Welcome to The Fresh Take. I'm here to talk to you today about why typography is important. So from text messages on our phones to the road signs we see while we're driving, we run into typography every day. So how does it affect us and why is that important? First of all, typography can convey an emotion or an idea. So you wouldn't want to necessarily give your money to a bank that uses Comic Sans for their logo, right? But why? Comic Sans is playful, it's youthful, not really qualities that you want to see in your bank. Instead, you would expect something like a strong, powerful sans serif, something that feels important and serious, somebody that you can trust to take care of your money. Second, typography can encourage people to keep reading. We live in a time period where people's attention spans are short and they're super choosy on what they want to read. So choosing type that is clear, simple, and easy to read is key. Give users something that will help them focus on your content rather than the formatting. Third, typography builds brand recognition. Using fonts over and over again can help establish your brand just as much as your logo can. The font styles you use will instantly give people an idea of who your brand is before they even read a word of your content. Whether you want to be viewed as elegant and respectable or fun and quirky, type can actually make that happen. Typography can also create an information hierarchy. If all the text on your website or video is all the same size, all the same weight, nobody's going to know what to look at first. By using different fonts or sizes, you can help tell people what content is most important or in what order a content should be read. And by grouping text together in different ways, you can make the content easy to digest and easy to understand. I hope these tips will help you make solid type choices. For more design tips, click on the subscribe button or visit the Fresh Ink blog.
All right. So, sorry, I was coughing through that. So, I mean, typography can be very, very effective. So, you know, just some of the things to kind of keep in mind of how you can use typography in an effective way in your designs. All right, Christine, I see you wrote a lot in the chat here. Give me 1 second. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry to hear that. Wow. Yeah, I think as we all go through stuff for sure. It's life is tough. Life is hard. Sometimes it throws curveballs at you too. So if we can all kind of help each other out, I think that's the most important part. So I'm here. I want you guys, like I said, to all succeed. That's my job, is to hopefully make you guys all learn and succeed. And I want you guys to do that. So, you know, Christine was just sharing a little personal story there. And, you know, I understand it's like we all go through things. So, yep, exactly. Exactly. All right. With that being said, thank you for sharing that story with me, Christina. And my thoughts are with you and your family for sure. Let's go forward and take a look at your discussion here, discussion 2. And some of you guys got started with this, which is great. We're going to be talking about choosing the right font for the job, because it's really, that's kind of what it's about, right? We're choosing the appropriate typeface, just like colors and imagery. We really want to make sure we're choosing the right fonts, because if we don't, it's going to throw the whole thing off. It's going to give a connotation that we don't want, right? Go ahead and read through the career relevancy, the background information, choosing the right font. I am going to kind of read through this part because I think this is, here, wait, hold on. Excuse me. I might not, because I might not be able to get through it. You know, read through the web versus print, serif or sans serif, see what the differences are there, why you would maybe use one over the other. Mute my mic here 1 second. Okay. You know, it's important to understand why you would use one over the other. So go ahead and read through that. I'm going to go right to the prompt so I don't cough all over again here. So read through the background information and then go to the prompt. So for this discussion, you're given 4 scenarios of designers' font choices below. You're going to choose 3 of the 4 to comment on in your post. Each scenario has 2 designer choices listed for a project. So based on your research and what you have learned about suitable fonts, including web versus print use, evaluate how the different fonts would work. Compare and contrast designer A and B choices, and tell us which designer you believe chose the strongest option and why. Keep in mind that both options may be viable, but based on your research, which one do you see as the strongest? Sorry, guys. All right, so with the 4th one, pay attention to the digital. Pay attention to the digital is way different than page proof. Okay. Yes. So you have scenario 1, a headline for an article on a news website, for instance. So this is a headline for an article on a news website. Number 1, designer A choice, Mrs. Eves, all caps, or number 2, designer B choice, Frutiger, bold compressed. So what you might want to do is kind of look these two typefaces up. If this is a scenario 1 is what you're going to go with. So you're going to choose 3 of the 4 scenarios to comment on in your post. So you would say, you know, the headline for an article on a news website, and then you would say which choice that you would choose and why you chose that, why you thought that was more appropriate and viable. You know, talk about the history, maybe the look of the font. You know, talk about the design elements of that font. Scenario number 2, the word courage as a tattoo design. Oh, okay, that's okay. Christina said she did all 4. Some of you guys might be overachievers, and that's fine. Hey, that's great if you're into it. Okay, this is a cool one. Scenario 2, the word courage as a tattoo design. Would you pick 1, designer A, choice Amador, or 2, designer B choice monotype cursiva? So, you know, look up those 2 typefaces. Obviously, pick the one that you believe would represent that word courage, you know, based on how those 2 fonts look. And then, you know, write out why you chose that one. Why is that more of a viable choice? Number 3, scenario 3, an invitation to a baby shower. Would you do designer A choice Shelby or designer B choice Optima? Which one would be more viable? And then scenario 4, body copy for a digital version of a romance novel. 1, designer A choice Avenir Book, or 2, designer B choice Book Mania Light. Here actually are some, you don't actually have to look them up because they have them right here. But you can look up the history and what they are used for, you know, other than just viewing them here. So there's Mrs. Eve's all caps, Fruitiger bold compressed, monotype cursiva, Bookmania Light, Shelby, Optima Amador, and Avenir Book. So choose 3 of the 4 scenarios listed above and cover the following in your main discussion post. So talk about these. Which scenarios are you evaluating? So you want to obviously point that out. Need to do at least 3. Which designer's font did you determine the best choice, designer A or B, and why? What did you find in your research that supports your decision? Be sure to cite your sources. So you would back it up with, you know, a citation, for instance. Include at least 3 qualities of each font that made it suitable for the occasion, including the mode of delivery, so web versus print, and why. You may take a screenshot for each font example above and embed your discussion post for an easy visual reference to point out the nuances of the font. In your replies, be sure to state why you agree or disagree with your fellow classmates' choice and reasoning. Here are some things to consider when responding. Did you choose the same designer? Were your reasons similar, or did you find another quality in the font as to why you chose it? You know, maybe you can add an additional, you know, reason in there. For your citation, you might use articles that show examples of fonts that work best for web versus print. You can also find articles from experts that talk about choosing appropriate fonts for the topic and media you are using. Don't forget to hit upon all of your reply requirements and post requirements. And here is some 2 benchmark examples if you're still kind of unsure of how this is supposed to be and how you're supposed to write this out. Here's some examples in here I'm going to show. Example 1 here. So you could read through how this student kind of broke this down. It's kind of nicely sectioned off here. So they have 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, 2, and 3. And then they broke it down in, you know, which one that they chose. Just exactly what you found in the research, and then qualities, the reason why you chose that. So that's one example. Example number 2 in the benchmark examples. Let's take a look at that. Maybe. Here we go. And then you have comments, these little sticky notes or comments from the instructor. So here's one a little bit more substantial, and it kind of shows the examples in each one and has citations, which is nicely done here. Yours wasn't that perfect. Well, that's what's nice about seeing an example, because then, you know, maybe you can kind of beef it up if you need to. But here's another example, and this is nicely done. It shows an example of each typeface being chosen, and they're just kind of citing specific substantial citations to support their reasoning in regards to why they chose a certain typeface. And this is really kind of interesting approach to this, because, you know, we as designers, we think when we get a project, we really have to think about, you know, what's the best, most appropriate typeface to use. And it's not based on what we like, you know, it's not subjective. We really want to look at it objectively. So we want to make sure you're using the right typeface for the right job. And sometimes if you don't know the history of a typeface, you might not understand why it may not work. So that's why it's super important to know the history of that certain typeface. There's so much you can learn in typography. It's ridiculous. I always say to my students that you could take probably 4 years of type classes and still not learn like everything that there is to do with type. There's a lot to learn, but a lot of the times too, you learn as you go. And I think sometimes that's just how it goes. And that's how, you know, obviously I had type classes in my undergrad classes, but I learned a lot in my graduate classes too that I never even knew. And then when I got out in the working world for those 10 years, I learned a lot more. So you kind of build upon all of that. So it's not as overwhelming, but this is like the foundation of your education here. So any questions about that? And I know, Christina, you said you got yours already posted, which is great. Excuse me. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Reach out to me. I'm here to help you guys. All right, no questions. I failed to show you guys first before I went into discussions, just real quick here. Excuse me. Exactly. Yep. And sometimes you make a typeface not readable for certain instances, but that's more of a design aesthetic, really. If it's information that needs to be read, it needs to be readable, and you're exactly right. All right, so what I wanted to show before I got into the discussions really quickly here is, again, go into your course media, week 2, and just don't forget about your resources in here. Your pre-recorded lectures here you should watch before listening to this one. And then also there's also articles in here as a PDF type primer PDF. Content covered in this PDF is shown underneath here. So definitely check that out. Let me open this up here. At least look at it. Oh, okay. Yeah, this one, actually, I've seen this. I had this resource when I was going through graduate studies too. And what's really cool about this resource is it actually goes into very specific details about the letter form. You can see here what's in a letter: cap height, ascender, X height, descender, baseline. It's a nice visual, a nice resource. Go ahead and download this PDF, put it in your resources so that you can go back and look at this if need be. Measuring type talks about measuring type and type height, type width, variations on themes. Talks about what spacing is, line length, you know, something to kind of think about. You don't want, if you have body copy, you know, over so many characters long on a line, it could be hard to read. So you want to make sure your line length is appropriate length. it talks about leading, which is the space in between your sentences. So it really kind of gives you a great resource into specific things that you might be on the quiz, for example, or things that you're doing in your assignment. Say if I'm giving you feedback and I'm talking about alignment, you're not quite sure exactly what I'm talking about. Here you go. Here's about alignment. Left align, right align, justified. So all those keywords and definitions are in here. So I'm just going to skip through here. I think this is like 20 pages, but here's glossary and terms. So if you're unsure, say if I talk about baseline and you're not sure what that means, here you can go in here and see that baseline is the imaginary line on which the majority of the characters in a typeface rest. So you can go back, and this could be your little guide to either, the terminology that you're learning in this class. You can definitely check that out. Okay, so that's definitely a resource that you need to download and use and study and have for your quiz as well. Lynda.com playlist too. Take a look at these topics here for chapter 2, talking about exploring the roles of typography, pairing typefaces for maximum impact, finding new typefaces for your projects are all covered here in chapter 2, Introduction to Type. And then you also have differentiation of type. Oh, okay, yeah. You were talking about that resource. There you go. You have to flip it around and get dizzy by the time you're done. But it's a resource, so you're not, you could just kind of pull it out and need it, look up what you need. But yeah, I mean, print it out. That's a great suggestion. That way you have it, on hand if you don't have the actual PDF. Good job. So it goes through chapter 2, the language of type, chapter 5, legibility and readability of type, all the way down. So you have lots of information in here. Some of these videos are a little longer, 15, 20 minutes. Some of them are shorter. But that is definitely week 1 and 2. All of this information is great for your assessment. So I just wanted to point out some of those things in there. There's also, let me try to find something for you guys here while I'm thinking about it. There's a poster that's really cool if you want to try to print this out too. Let me bring this up. See if I can find it here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If I can't, I'll get to it. I just thought maybe I could pull it up real quick here. It's like if you want to find a typeface. Oh, here it is. I found it. Good. I know you can't see what I'm doing here, so give me 1 second. All right, so I will definitely give this to you guys. This is a really cool thing to print out. If you can print it out big, it's actually pretty interesting. But it's called "So You Need a Typeface." And what's really cool about this, let me zoom in here. It says, "So You Need a Typeface" is a project by Julian Henson. It's an alternative way on how to choose fonts for just being inspired for a specific project, not just by browsing through the pages of a font book. So the list is very loosely based on the top 50 of DIE 100 best in shrifted by Font Shop. So, you can look in here and say, okay, I'm looking for a typeface for a logo. Start right there. And then it says a sans serif, maybe, or perhaps a serif. So if you may be leaning more towards a sans serif, you would go this route. So maybe geometrics, yes or no, depending on where you want to go. It kind of points you to the right direction. And it's like a little mind map of sorts. She reminds me of an alien on the old cartoons with her hair and glass. Oh, that's funny. But you can download this. I can pull it onto my desktop and save it or print it. Let me give you the link here too, so you can print it out on there. Just a really cool thing to utilize. All right, so we're going to get right into, now that we don't have any questions about the discussion, I'm going to take a short break here so I can kind of collect myself in between talking and being sick here. We'll go right into your assignment review overview at assignment 2. And I'll do a demo. Your assessment 2 quiz really is just on your week 1 and 2 media content. So we'll just kind of quickly talk about it, but we're not really going to do any demo for that or anything like that. So really we're going to focus on your assignment 2 when we get back after this 5-minute break here. Does that sound good? Yeah, exactly. It's something you can print out and leave in a binder. A poster would be great if you guys can put it above your, on your wall. It'd be kind of cool, just aesthetically too, and be a resource. Have it printed at Walmart or Staples or something like that. Or super cheap. All right, so I'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll go over your assignment 2. All right, can you hear me? All right. Actually, before we get even into your assignment two, I wanted to show you some examples of past work. Thank you. Got some coffee now, and I'm ready to go forward here. I wanted to show you some of your assignment one fellow peer work here. You guys did a great job for the most part of coming up with some really cool portraits for your typography, choice of the font that you chose. Yeah, coffee is always good. I had to actually make a second serving because when I came back and my voice was going and I didn't want to not have a voice talking through our discussion or our lecture. All right, so here's some really cool examples to show you of people in your class that did a great job on these portraits only using typography. I could definitely tell that you think you went overboard. I could definitely tell when you guys had a great, got a good time with this. So here's some examples. Here's Tupac. Times New Roman. It's kind of interesting how the type forms and how they really accentuate certain parts of the face. A good time. There you go. Bodini. Tupac made a font. Did he really? I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made one in that regards. Times New Roman, kind of a cute little face there. Some of you guys went more of a comical side. Yeah. Sorry if my dog is playing with a bone on the floor right now, so you can probably hear a lot of clicking, and I might have to take that away from him. So, here's another one. I think this is the ice cube one. There we go. Kind of neat to see the words in some of the songs too being used on here. And one more. This one does not have a name, so make sure you're putting the name. Oh, no. You didn't have to. You could just do a portrait. You could do it of yourself. You can do it, whatever you think would best represent that typeface. Some of it is a little bit more, the typefaces given to you guys were a little bit more, I don't want to say generic, but, a little tougher to think about which one would represent a specific person. Just don't forget to put the typeface that you did use underneath or somewhere on your composition. This person did not, but I thought this came out really well for, the typeface itself. All right, so great job. For those of you who did turn it in, it looks great. If you didn't see yours on there, it doesn't mean you didn't do a good job, just I didn't pull it, so don't feel bad if you don't see yours up there. No, you did a great job, Christina. Yeah. Some of you guys went really detailed in that, which is great. I'd rather see it detailed too, to bring out those characteristics. Okay, let's go into your assignment 2 here. Did you get started with this yet? Maybe not. Probably not, right? All right, so, and that's okay. Did you get started on week 2, assignment 2 yet? Okay. Awesome. All right, so go ahead and read through the background here. It's going to give you just a little bit of background about different types, classifications of typefaces. Okay, cool. It's going to talk about Typekit, which you guys are going to be utilizing. So I'm going to read, actually, this is where I'm going to read from all the way down to the prompts here, because I think that's important. So exploring and using Typekit. So your computer comes installed with quite a few commonly used fonts, many of which become overused and misused by people who with little or no understanding of the impact of proper font choices. But there is a whole world of font choices out there available to you. Many popular fonts like Universe, Sabon, and Clarendon you may pay for in order to use in your projects. Similar to using stock images, these and many other well-designed fonts are copyrighted. This can become quite expensive for a designer or client, especially if you're only using the font for a headline or one specific advertisement. But as an Adobe CC user, you're not stuck using only the fonts that came installed on your computer. Typekit is here. With your Adobe CC subscription, you have access to hundreds of fonts through Typekit, which has the ability to sync fonts into your Adobe CC programs like InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop to use them all to use them in all of your design projects without having to download them to your computer. There's a note. So some fonts have several different type styles available, and you have to sync each one to use it. So just kind of be aware of that. So for this assignment, I'm going to read the prompt here. You will explore fonts in 8 different type categories and evaluate their uses and proper applications. Oh, okay, that's fine. See, you just did a good, Christina was typing in the chat here about her issues with some of the fonts being downloaded through cloud. So that's just kind of your way of problem solving, which is great. So use Typekit to sync one font from each of the 8 classification categories. So you have serif, sans serif, slab serif, script, black letter, mono, hand, and decorative into your CC library. Choose fonts that you do not already have on your computer. Use the fonts, details, and availability tabs in Typekit for view and information about the font. Okay, so you can access Typekit through the character menu in the Adobe CC programs or at this link here. If you're not already in an Adobe application, you will need to be logged in. So it might ask you for your Adobe password, user name and password. And then if you need to have extra information on how to sync fonts, here's a little link here. You already have installed Creative Cloud. All right, so I'm going to click right now on this Typekit's font link here given, and I'm going to open this up so you can see how this looks. I believe I already logged in, so when I clicked on this initially, I had to log in. So I had to put my password in. All right, so this is what it looks like. So you can choose by classification on the left-hand side here. Right now, all is chosen, so all of these classifications are going to show. Recommendations, if you're just looking for paragraph or heading fonts, you can click on those to kind of hone in on a specific typeface. You can choose properties. Yep. Headings and so on. Yep. Width. So say you're looking for maybe a more condensed font, you would choose that. X height, if you want a smaller X height, you would go to the left side. If you wanted a larger one, you go to the right. Contrast, if you needed more contrast, you go to the right, less contrast to the left. So, you can really hone in on a specific font instead of scrolling through a whole bunch. All right, so for example, let me go ahead and look up, I'm going to just do a slab serif, and I'm just going to choose headings. And I want one that's maybe going to be a little bit more thick. And let's see, that's probably it right there. So I look over here and I'm like, okay, let's see. Oh, I like all these. These look kind of cool, but maybe I like one more than the other, and I want to kind of use it for my discussion here. I'm sorry, my assignment. So let's do the Quattro slab. I can actually click on this before I activate it just to kind of find out more here. So it's going to show me this these letters in this sentence here, unless I choose a different sentence or a different, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's obviously going to adjust the type size for me if I want to see it larger. And it should show it in lower and uppercase too if I choose, let's see, unless this is all upper, yeah, if I do something like that. You can kind of look at it, take a good look at all of the different, if this has a type family, all the different emphasis on this particular font. And say if I want to activate it, I just click on this little activate. And obviously I have to log in here. Sorry guys, don't show again. Just telling me about my activation here. So Quattro Slab is the font designed by Mark Canesso. It's a PS type, PostScript type. So you can grab this information obviously for your information in your assignment. Quattro Slab is the one that I just kind of activated here. There's also about Quattro Slab. If I scroll all the way down, you'll see the designer possibly, image name. If it's a company, obviously it'll have a company name. And then it just talks a little bit about what it is. So an independent digital type lab based in Southern California is what PS Type is. And then founded by Mark Canesso. It acts as the typographic side of Paperwork Studio, offering contemporary designs both for retail and custom applications. All right, so let's go back to your assignment instructions here. So what you're going to do is you're going to access, let me see, I believe 8, right? 8 different, yeah. So you will present a total of 8 fonts. So you're going to choose 8 fonts. They don't have to all be headlines. It could be body copy. Just choose 8 that are not on your computer. And 1 from each classification. So for instance, you're going to have the classification in regards to like serif or sans serif. Okay. So what you would do is what you want is 1 from each. So you're going to do 1 sans serif, 1 serif, 1 slab serif. So 8 of them will be all from different classifications. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go back up here and let's read what you need to do. So using InDesign, create 8.5 by 11 document with default margin settings. So whatever default margin settings is in there, just leave it be. Type the name of the font in that font and label which classification it was found in. All right, so let me go ahead and open up InDesign. I'm going to do File, New Document, 8.5 by 11. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing right now. Let me just create this so you guys can see because I can't share my screen until I create my document here. All right. So 8.5 by 11, I just did a File, New Document setup here. Let me move my thing up here. I can't see certain things up here. Let's see if it goes away. My screen sharing app, there we go. Kind of gets in the way sometimes. Let me reset my essential panels here. And I'm just going to share, actually, I'm going to share my whole screen so you can see my menu bar too. All right, that's probably better. Okay. So here's my 8.5 by 11. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and I would just draw out using your type tool, just 1 column here, just 1 big text box. You can always change this. And what we're going to do is we're going to type the name of that font that I just kind of grabbed. go ahead and copy and paste it in here. And then I'm going to obviously go and take, go into my character palette panel and type in the actual name of that. Here we go. All right. And it's not installed yet. Hold on one second. Let me quit out of InDesign here real quick. Sorry guys, that might be the issue here because I already had InDesign open. I'll restart. Is this the issues you had here, Christina? Oh, okay. Oops. All right, let's do this again. Okay. So now that so what you might want to do is make sure you're not in InDesign. Make sure you're closed out of it while you're activating your fonts. Because what happens is if you already have it open, see now it's coming up. Actually, it doesn't even look like that font. Hold on. It might not load because it's open. Why does that look like a totally different font there? I guess it's a totally different font. Oh, all right. So you're talking about this little funnel thing. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Oh, it's just typing in my character. That's what it's doing. That's why it's coming up like that. Let me see here. What's going on? I'm opening up my cloud right now and just see what's going on with my fonts. All right. It's going to take a while here. Hold on one second, guys. Uh-huh. All right. So what I did was I actually went up to my cloud on my desktop. I'll show you real quick. So I went up here and I clicked on fonts on my icon up there. And then I typed in that font. It looks like this isn't active. I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm logged in with a different address with this, and that's why it's having confusion. I have a couple different Apple IDs, so that might be my issue here. Okay, there we go. Creative Cloud, 10 fonts were activated. All right, let's try this again. Let's see if I have to do a little restart here. I might not. Let's see. Here we go. So that was the issue. So if you're having issues, yeah, you'll definitely have to go through it in that regards. That's probably what you were having problems with, Christina, with the whole cloud part. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're gonna probably want to do it that way. So go through that way, or else you're gonna have issues like like you just saw me have. All right, so just go up to your menu bar, choose your cloud icon like you saw me do, your Adobe Creative Cloud, and then just choose fonts, and you can search in regards to that through there as well. You can browse all fonts through here too. But that's pretty much how you would do it. If you're having issues, it's kind of activating it when you get in InDesign. Okay, let's go back to your design details here, your prompted details. Type the name of the font in that font and label which classification it was found in. So we have the font in here. And slab serif. This is the classification. Who designed it? What type of personality you think it has and why? So Mark Canesso from PS Type designed this. Oh, okay. No problem. And there we go. So that's part of that. And then what type of personality you think it has and why? Where you might use it often. So headlines for entertainment, publication, body copy, text for corporation. So all of this will be in here. So I'm going to actually paste that in here so I'm not flipping back and forth. So the personality here, this font, goes off, or I guess size font. Is a, oh, let me zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Is a machine, let's see here. Okay. So think about adjectives too. What describes this? Obviously, slab serif is very bold. Digital machine type look and feel. This type is very sturdy. And can be used as a readable headline on a website as well as in print, something in that regards. Also, this font, a more industrial type logo mark, something like that. All right, so that would be kind of the little explanation there. And then other than that, let's see. Do not add any color or decorative elements to this. You want to focus on the fonts. Use the type setting skills you have learned so far to present your information neatly and professionally. So you'll have 8 of these different fonts, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up a style sheet. So we're going to go to Window, and we're going to go to Paragraph Style. Type in Tables, Paragraph Style. Oops, not that. So you're going to go to Styles, Paragraph Styles. Sorry, guys. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a headline. So you don't have to select type at all for this part. Just go on the upper right-hand corner and choose New Paragraph Style. We're going to name this headline. And this would be like the font name, for instance. And this is actually gonna, oh, you know what? We might not be able to do this. Maybe what we'll do, we'll leave the headline as is, because that has to change based on the typeface. But what we can do is maybe do a new paragraph style. We'll just put body copy, and we'll just use this as a general copy for all of your information underneath your typeface. So maybe we'll just use like a Helvetica 10.14 leading for a good 20% difference. So a good 20% difference between your point size and your leading is for good readability. So 10 points with a 14-point leading makes it the most readable size and ratio of space. So I'm just going to choose not the name of it, but all the body copy underneath it. So it switches to that, so we can keep it consistent in that regards. And then we're going to do 2 columns, just like Christina, you said you did 2 columns. So we're going to go up to type. So we don't see how this line length is getting way over 60 characters per line. That's when it becomes hard to read. So we're going to go ahead and change that. So we're going to go up to Object, Text Frame Options, and we're going to choose where it says Columns to 2 columns. Click OK. So you can see that line length is a lot different. Yep. Exactly. Yep. Becomes too many characters on a line. It's hard to read. Now this is where you can actually go in here and say, okay, this doesn't have a paragraph style, but I'm going to make this bigger, and just note that that's going to be bigger, like 20. You do a shift underneath there, a shift return. And then maybe we want to make a paragraph style for just the classification. So new paragraph style, we'll do classification. This is so you guys just get used to styles. So we'll keep it Helvetica. We'll just make it a little bit bigger. So 12 points, 16-point leading, and maybe we'll just make it bold. And we're going to leave it. We're not going to give it a color. And then go ahead and choose classification. And what this does is just kind of emphasizes this. Same thing with this. Let's do a new paragraph style. We'll name this Type Designer or Type. We're going to make this, let's say 11 points, and we're going to give this maybe an oblique. How about it go oblique? Oops, not that. There we go. Just a shift return under there. And then I'm just going to fix my widow down here. Did you see this widow? This is called a widow. You don't really want a widow because a widow kind of makes it a little harder to read if it's one small word on the very last line. So I'm going to put my cursor right before, because this can be bumped down. See how this word used does not have any word underneath supporting it? That's usually a no-no with a rag. This is your rag here. You see a big gap right there. So I'm going to put my cursor right in front of use. I'm going to do a soft return. So you won't just hit enter. That would be a hard return. You're going to do a shift return. And what that's going to do is going to be a soft return. So if you need to do any type of change with this style sheet, it's going to do it to the whole paragraph and not just the line, because it's not a hard return. But see how that fixed my my widow down there, so it looks pretty good. I could probably bump type down, but it looks pretty good here, so I'm just going to leave it as is. All right, so I'm going to name this file, save this as DES113 assignment 2, first and last name. I'm going to save this on my desktop as my InDesign file. Any questions so far? That's the first one. Looks good. All right, thanks. I would say keep your body copy no less than 9 points, but no bigger than 12 points. That's usually the ratio. Okay, so I'm going to go back and pick another font, and it's going to be under a different classification. So let me show you real quick what I mean by that. Okay, so I did slab serif. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're gonna do all of these. So one of each. So I already did slab serif. Now I'm gonna move on to, let's just do sans serif. That's first on the list. All right. So then I will just walk, kind of peruse through here. I'm gonna maybe try this one, field work. And let's see if this actually works this time now that I'm in my cloud. So fieldwork is from Typo Type. Here are the variations. Comes in a lot of different variations. This is Typo Type is the first foundry to call Uruguay home, founded in 2009 by Fernandez Diaz, Zente, I mean, you can't even say that, and Martin Samoruga, with the mission of creating contemporary typefaces and also a platform for type designers to easily commercialize their work. All right, so let's do this one. I'm going to activate this font. I'm going to activate all fonts here. Field work. And just to make sure, I'm going to go up to my, field work looks good here. Let me share my desktop so you guys can see what I'm doing here. There we go. And because I logged in, it says 24 fonts were activated. I'm good. So fieldwork's the next one. So I'm going to take my type tool. I'm just going to do like 2 returns. I could always change this too, actually. Let me do that now. So body copy, I'm just going to double click on body copy. And I'm going to go, without doing the returns, I want to do a very consistent space after. So I'm going to go to indents and spacing. And I'm going to do space after each paragraph. Let's do a 1/2 inch. So when I hit a return, it goes to 1/2 inch right away. Now the only problem is we want to make sure there's no after space here. See how I kind of did it to these two? That's because I had a return in there. So I just have to delete that return. That's what happens when you have a hard return in there. All right, so this one is called field work, right? Field work, yes, by Typo Type. So go ahead and copy and paste that in there if you need to. And then just change that. I'm gonna make sure when you type the second typeface out that you have basic paragraph selected. You don't want a style sheet for that one. That one should be style sheet less because you want this to be a specific font that it is, right? So field work, we're just gonna go with regular. And just remember how big you use this. So this was 20 points, so we're just gonna make this 20 points. Okay, keep it consistent here. Okay, and then this can be changed to classification, or not classification, sorry. Yeah, classification. I got the return messing with me here. Hold on one second. Field work is in 20. I might have to change this. Hold on, let me go to indents and spacing. Yeah. What you would just do is just change this back to 0 for all the other ones. This is what's going on here. So it's classification, type designer, founder. Just go back to your spacings. For some reason, it's going up to 1 inch, 1/2 inch again. There we go. There we go. All my spacings. need to be changed here. Okay, sorry guys, having some issues here. Oops. There we go. I'm getting to it. Okay, it's getting there. I just have to figure out my spacings. Kind of all copied over. Okay. All right. So this would be actually this is going to be sans serif, not linotype. Let me copy this. And then this is who the founder is. There we go. And just for sake of quickness here, I'm just gonna paste in the body copy. Do a little space after there. So you would obviously change this information. Now see how I put more space in between these two sections of and I could always bump this up too if I think that's too far away. See how there's more space in between here? So that kind of makes it easier to follow. So using proximity, you are grouping this together. And let's just pretend like this is based on the fieldwork information. Okay, so you're gonna do that. You're gonna have, I would do, you know, obviously you're gonna have 8. So I would do, for instance, and let's just copy this for sake of going quicker here. And it'll be similar to this, although you're going to have obviously these two, and all of these will be the different classifications. So you're going to have one of each classification. But it should look very even. Your baselines are all aligned. You know, maybe it's not this even because maybe some of your body copy lines will be a little bit more. So for instance, like for this one, maybe, you know, this could be a little longer or shorter depending upon what you're writing in there. I'm just kind of showing you really quickly here what I'm talking about. So you might have a shifting of type more so than I had before, but mine just was super equal because I had copied and pasted it. But nevertheless, you're trying to get you don't have to get it all on one page. You can do 2 pages. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot, just, you know, a little blurb of what that font you believe is all about. Okay, hold on one second. I need to mute my mic here. Hold on one second. All right, just had a little puppy emergency here. He was tearing his bed apart right next to me, and I didn't notice it until now, so I had to put him in his crate. Fun times. All right, so, you know, you kind of get the gist of how to do this. Just make sure, yeah, I know. Just make sure if you're not seeing that font that you activated in your font menu, that you're actually logging into your Adobe Cloud and doing it the way that I showed you, just because I showed you kind of the first way and it wasn't working until I actually logged in. So make sure that that is happening. So just go ahead and choose one from each category, and just follow along with the specs and you guys should be good. And just make sure it looks, you know, not only am I looking for the quality of information put in there, but I'm also looking for how you laid this information out. So it's all about presentation as well. It could, if it spans the 2 pages, that's fine. But the idea is to choose one from each category here to explain and talk about, and to hit upon all the points in the assignment instructions here. Once you're done, you're going to save your file as your InDesign file, obviously. Then you're going to export your document into a PDF. It will be named the same as your InDesign file, but with a PDF extension. And then you're going to submit the PDF for grading. So I'll show you real quick how to do that, just in case you're unsure of how to export. So you're going to save it as an InDesign file first, and then you're going to go up to File, Adobe PDF Presets, and you could do smallest file size. That's fine. I'll save it to my desktop. The one thing that I would make sure of is just kind of open that PDF when you're done. Just make sure it looks good. Excuse me, guys. Let me share my desktop here so you can see what I'm doing. So this is the PDF I'm going to open. Just kind of take a look at it before you submit it. Make sure everything looks good. And then you should be good. There's benchmarks in here too that you can take a look at, examples of other student work that you can kind of base yours off of if you want to see another example. These are showing all 8 with some feedback from the instructor. So here's one example. Right there. And then number 2. Is shown right here. Let me zoom out real quick. Okay. And notice how they kind of use the classification first and then the name. So that's something that you can do too. I did it kind of the opposite. Yeah. Yep. Any questions about any of that? If you have, if you're watching this, you do have questions, let me know. Pretty straightforward. Okay. So have fun with that. It's a kind of a nice way to explore different classifications of fonts and kind of learn about them. And then don't forget you have an assessment too. And like I said, you want to read through your materials given to you in your readings and video information. This is a midterm quiz, and the objectives that are covered are listed here. So this is something that you'll want to definitely make sure that you're understanding of, the anatomy of a letter form. All of this stuff basically is in your reading and your reading information. So additional instructions. So there are 15 questions in this quiz, and it is not timed, but you will only be able to take it once. Be careful to read the questions and the answer choices. To help discourage cheating, some questions will seem just like others, but the values have changed. What is asked for it has changed. Be sure you know what the question is asking for the values to use. The quiz is not closed until you hit the submit button. So if it will stay open, even if you close the window, you can work on it in pieces at your convenience, and you're free to look up any answers in the materials. The questions are taken from the videos, media, lectures, and materials from week 1 and 2. So here's a little direct link here too. It's 50 points. So any questions about that? All right. All right, so just a quick little reminder for discussion 2, you're going to note the 4 things to cover that are listed in the discussion details. No specific right or wrong, choices and considerations. You might see something differently than somebody else in regards to what you choose for, and if you remember what we're talking about in the discussion, is you're picking designer A or B. excuse me, based on the scenario. Expand on your peers' post. You know, that really kind of gives a good discussion. It just kind of makes it, you get more out of it whenever you expand on it. So you can add to your peer post, give them examples as well. Week 2 assignment, again, exploring typekit using InDesign. Cover the list of points. We just went over that. Presentation counts. Just make sure you're aware of that. And if you need to watch the demo, obviously this is going to be recorded, so you can go back and review it. Don't forget your assessment too. Like I said, we went over is your quiz. Media in week 1 and 2, theory lectures. It's not timed. We kind of already went over some of these details as well. And don't forget, I will be available on Thursday on the time listed in the multi-session time frame on Thursday. So if you need to come in for extra help or, you know, just feedback, I will be there. All right, so I'm just going to wrap this up. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, we'll kind of wrap it up and call it a day. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. I'm going to go and rest my voice here. But hopefully I'll be good to go on Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the discussion boards.
Am I able to talk on the mic? Hello?
Okay. Go ahead.
No, with my Creative Cloud, I've been talking to Shane about it, or going on to like live thing with him. It would not update it would not install the updates without freezing at like 32%.
Okay.
And it won't go further. So he told me to uninstall it and reinstall it, and he checked my speed and everything's fine. But now it will, when I try to install just my cloud, because I have all the other programs, it will stop at like 39%, and it won't go any further. So he said he's going to get a hold of Adobe and find out if there's a glitch, because I'm not the only one having this problem.
Okay.
So the little funnel I was talking about, when you click on that, it shows you like the serif fonts, the sans serif, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I don't have, I told him I went to a free font site and I downloaded, and I can use those now. But I'm hoping that doesn't kind of guess me, because they're not in my cloud.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Whatever you can do to get that done. What you can do is look up the ones in the typekit, kind of pick similar or the same if you can.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you can't
That's
pick the exact same, just do your best.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody else has the same issue, but you never know.
Well, he said there's more than just myself that is having that issue, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, if you're having that same issue, just kind of do exactly what Christina's doing. You have to problem solve in some way. You can't just, sometimes we have to go on with our stuff. We can't wait if it's going to take a long time. I'd rather see you guys go a different route like you are in getting it done. So, alrighty. Well, keep me kind of posted on how that all unfolds, if you're able to get some help. And, it's just technology. It's always fun, right? Always something. All right. Thank you, Christina. You have a great day, and I'll be seeing you guys soon on the boards, okay? All right. Have a great day.